Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and it looks like we have something to discuss because Creative Assembly made a post yesterday and it sent everyone into a bit of a frenzy, which is as follows. We have a fantastic opportunity for a battle game designer to join our team in Sofia, Bulgaria, to help us with the creative vision and immersive battle experience in Total War. You'll be responsible for creating and maintaining fun and balanced systems. Balanced? Not so much, but yeah, let's continue. Now, this sent people into a frenzy for a number of reasons, especially because it's linked to Warhammer. We'll talk about that in just a second. I mean, this is normal. Creative Assembly are just going to be hiring pretty much constantly at this point. They're working on future titles, and it's been more than 6 months since the last round of layoffs, which means that they're legally allowed to start expanding their teams once again. It's a really weird thing with British law and how it ties to everything. It's just weird. But the reason why everyone got kicked up into a frenzy was because in the desirable section it says, deep understanding of Total War, the usual stuff, and strong familiarity with the Warhammer universe. So everyone thinks that this is clearly just for Warhammer Fantasy and it's going to have the lifespan expanded, that it might not just be the 3 DLCs that most people are thinking about, but I mean, right above, its strong historic knowledge is a plus. The thing that people don't seem to realize is that the developers for Warhammer aren't just on Warhammer, and this is something really important to note. This is why mistakes keep happening during DLCs. They have a lot of people jump in and out. If you might recall, there were devs who have just come back to Warhammer, which have been featured on those developer blog interview things. But yeah, they jump in and out, and this is why big problems happen, like the splash damage bullshit that happened with Omens of Destruction. Believe me, there's so many more to count. I can tell you from experience, there was a Warhammer 2 DLC which had a few problems. I asked a dev, and he's like, well, I'm not on Warhammer 2 at the moment. And it's like, oh, okay. An educated guess is that dev was on Warhammer 3 or could have been on Hyenas for all we bloody know. And just because they're being hired for the Total War team doesn't mean that they're not going to be pushed into something else. A perfect example would be Ballant, who was on Halo Wars, then was moved on to Warhammer, and then I think he left at that point after Warhammer 3. But yeah, this is a dev that I've actually interviewed before. He's working on his own games right now with another studio. Good on him. He seems to be quite happy. So yeah, I wouldn't say that this is only just for Warhammer. This is just something that, oh yeah, if you know what is going on, this will be good. I love how they just say Warhammer and not anything else though, because they're trying to be quite coy. So we don't know exactly what setting this is for. One thing that is very obvious though, it's very obvious now that Sofia is slowly taking over Warhammer Fantasy, and I would imagine that the next DLC is going to have next to no people from Horsham or even Newcastle. I don't know what the hell the CA Newcastle studio does. Actually, I'm imagining that those are the ones behind Alien Isolation or something. But yeah, I can imagine that CA Sofia is going to be taking over Warhammer Fantasy at least for a little bit of time until its end. The idea here is they're a smaller studio, they can keep things going whilst the main studios are working on other stuff. And even then, there's still some bleed in Sofia, because there's rumors and there's people at Creative Assembly who like to talk a lot, and that type of stuff doesn't really stay as a secret. I do want to highlight one thing though. If Sofia is taking over Warhammer and they're going to be leading the Warhammer DLCs, their design ethos must change. Mechanically, Sofia has always been an incredible studio. I know a lot of people didn't play Troy, but I've said this in the past, they come up with a lot of really cool mechanics. But battle-wise, they always find themselves lacking. And that's very obvious when we look towards the Khorne side of the DLC, which we know was a lot of Sofia people. Skulltaker is horrendously overpowered, DLC creep is never fun. A lot of the Khorne units themselves, unfortunately, kind of wet noodly until everything got changed up. And not only that, but there was a lot of reuse mechanics which were kind of lazy. The Skull Reapers, okay, fair enough, additional hand weapons and stuff like that, but the Wrathmongers not having a lot of unique mechanics was just weird. Arbal also kind of weird there, his mechanics were just odd. And animation-wise, he and both Skulltaker clip a lot on their mounts. It's a bit less now with Arbal, I think, but it's very noticeable if you like getting up close and personal, which I know a lot of people don't do, but Warhammer fans will generally go up and want to see those units in action. Clipping at this day and age shouldn't really be a thing. The main thing, however, is the battles. Battles, they need to increase development time and just a lot more testing. This is something that happened in Sofia for Troy, where the chariots were just hitting that wet noodles. They're a bit better in Pharaoh, but then again, who's playing Pharaoh? I did see some people pointing out that on the first paragraph of the actual page, it says, you know, working on new exciting projects for the Total War franchise. That could mean DLC. I don't think that Sofia is going to be doing too much on 40k. Until that Warhammer Fantasy starts meeting its end and they start deciding, okay, we need to start moving these guys into maybe 40k or whatever game ends up being the next one. So then that the main team can move on to the sequel and kind of finish that off and avoid a bad launch. I don't know if Sofia are going to work on their own singular titles by themselves now. Possible that they could do a historical, because their historical stuff is decent, actually. Like, I shit on Pharaoh a lot, but it's not bad. My bad taste there is the cosmetic DLC and then charging way too much for a saga. I know a lot of people are taking this as, well, if they're clearly hiring for Warhammer, which we don't actually know if it is for Warhammer Fantasy, that means that there's going to be more DLCs and it's not just the 3 rumored ones, blah, 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 blah. And I get that, but I really want to stress out one thing. They're going to have to keep replenishing their teams. There's a lot of turnover with Creative Assembly. So even if there's only 3 DLCs left, if people are leaving, they need to bring those people in. They need to bring new blood in, which would then get transferred to another project. So I still believe the rumors that there's only 3 DLCs left. I think that there's a chance that more DLCs will be added in. But even then, we have to take into account that we know those rumors of a brand new engine being worked on. So I really don't think that they're going to want to spend too much time on Warscape after whatever the new one comes out. Who knows what it's called? Because, yeah, Warscape has a lot of tech debt. It's very obvious when you look towards when one small change in Warhammer 3 fucks up like 5 other things that are not even related to it. However, if Warhammer Fantasy is still very profitable, and I imagine that it's still very profitable, I've been hearing a lot of rumors that, yes, Omens of Destruction, despite the fact that it's not sold as much as Thrones of Decay, is still selling very, very well. I could see them going, okay, well, you know, we could still do a few more DLCs here, pending Games Workshop approval, obviously, because Games Workshop have a lot to say here. Time will tell. I think if the community still keeps being loud and going, hey, you know, we want this, we want that. I don't know if it will work for Ind and Koresh, but hey, you never know. Cafe was something that was pretty last second from what I've been hearing. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about this today. There's no news in a while. I imagine that CA are right now busy with planning what their celebration stuff is going to be for the whole 25 years of Total War. And also, you know, getting ready to launch the next hotfix, which is something that we had as a beta for a while. But maybe they might have added some extra stuff to it, which would be nice. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's start a bit of a discussion. I just want to talk about this today. It's always nice to talk about the inner workings of Creative Assembly. I don't know that much at the moment. I'm still in Christmas brain, to be honest. And I've just been kind of enjoying painting my Christmas stuff, because some people have realized that it's just better to just give me some Warhammer, any Warhammer, and I'm just going to be happy with that. So yeah, have a great one, guys. I'll see you all again very, very soon.